Hi, I'm Aaron Heresco. I teach communication here at California Lutheran University.
And I'm Jose Marichal. I teach political science at California Lutheran University.
The talk we're going to give today is about a course that we're co-teaching. It's social media and politics. And we each come at it from a different angle. From a communication side, I'm really interested in media industries, the way that social media in particular commodifies experiences, turns users into little bits of data, and then how that data is then sort of reflected through the sort of consumer culture and maybe the political culture as well.
Yeah. And I've been researching social media and politics for a few years. And in the last couple of years, I've gotten really interested in the role of artificial intelligence and machine learning on political identity. And so one of the things that I'm really interested in is how predictable we are as political citizens. So how much can algorithms and machine learning, if they have enough data on us, how much can they predict our behavior? And so that is an overriding question that really motivated me to be part of this class.
So when we started the conversation about this course, it was just some kind of office hallway talk. I talked to Jose, Dr. Marichal, about how interested I was in the workings of Facebook and Twitter and the way it's changing politics, right? It's in some ways a political conversations occurring. And then as we started talking more and more, we realized that it's really difficult to separate the political from the social. And so my interest in industries and institutions really looked at how it is that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram commodify users, right? If you're not the purchaser, you're the product. And so this started a conversation about the ways in which users become bits of data, of sort of understandable, consumable units, right? And the ways that something like the Netflix algorithm will say, if you liked binging The Office, here's 8 other shows you might like. Or at the end of a YouTube video, it'll give you a list of things you might also like. That not only keeps you in that sort of economic environment, but I think it also puts you in a little bit of a filter, a little bit of a bubble where you start to see and hear a lot of really, really familiar content.
Right. And so what I try to get across to the students is that you should think of Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these platforms as information gathering machines. That they seem fun, and when you're using them, you don't think that that's what they are, but at the end of the day, their reason for being is to collect data on you. And we spend the 16 weeks trying to figure out what are those platforms doing with that data. And by now, everybody knows about algorithms, and everybody knows that data gets sold and that data gets packaged in ways that if you are interested in a particular artist, you get recommendations about similar artists, right? And so all that seems kind of innocuous, and it seems like it's really helpful. Like if I like Tarantino films, right, and I get suggestions that are around like Tarantino films, that's great, that's good for me, right? But the more the information gets collected on us, so the Internet of Things, the more that our Nest thermometers and the more that our Alexas, the more that smart toothbrushes and smart toasters and smart hairbrushes and our phones and all these things start collecting more and more information about us, the more there's this possibility that we really become predictable to these algorithms and these machines. And right now, they're not great at it, right? Right now, human beings are too variable, we're too unpredictable, we like novelty, and that might be true forever. But there's also this possibility that because we're creatures of habit, that we do get trapped in these filter bubbles that Aaron and Dr. Heresco is talking about. And so what does that mean for politics? What does that mean for debates about politics or 2016 campaign if we never stray out of our filter bubbles? And if we're provoked to get outside of the filter bubble, if we're asked to challenge our ideas, we get really reluctant and we get really oppositional because we're so used to being in our bubble, and somebody's asking us to leave the bubble, and right? So that those types of things we don't think about very often, even though we're awash in all this stuff, even though most of us, the minute we get up in the morning, we check our phone, right? We ask Alexa to tell us what the temperature is going to be, right? So we're living in this world that we don't quite understand, and that's what I think we're trying to get across to the students, and really maybe even understand for ourselves, because I'm not sure that I totally know where we're going.
Yeah, we've been talking through it and working with it really, I think, in our own headspace a little bit. And one of the challenges I think we've come across is the difference between being a citizen and a consumer. And what these platforms largely create is ideal consumers, right? People who are really brand conscious, brand aware, tuned in to the world around them, willing to give up all sorts of data about things they like, things they love, places they go. And that creates a massive amount of data. If you can map that onto all these other smart devices, you can know a lot about someone. You can essentially make them really close to predictable.
Right.
The problem is that creates an issue when you think of something like the public sphere or democracy or how it is that we think about political issues, because it becomes very hard to have these conversations in online spaces where people have been sort of filtered or sort of split off from those unlike them.
We actually had a really good conversation last week in class about whether or not it's older people that spread fake news on social media, because younger people are savvier to the ways that social media might manipulate them. So if somebody who's under 30 sees something on Facebook that looks like it's probably not true, that in some ways they're more likely to be wary of it because they've grown up around social media. And so they understand the ways that algorithms work. Whereas grandma, no offense to grandma, might be a little bit more growing up in a traditional media age where they might see something on Facebook, a news article, and might be more likely to spread it, might be more likely to share it. And there is some research that says that older voters are more likely to spread fake news, right? It's instigated some really interesting conversations that we wouldn't have had before. So.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of these conversations now. We haven't really solved all of the issues, but it is going to shape the world around us, and certainly the upcoming elections. Like, these are going to be relatively large philosophical, ethical, political issues. So in the meantime, as we're trying to figure this out, thank you so much for listening to our talk, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.